Hi everyone, Robin Landsong, and sharing what I've learned along my journey to hopefully make your journey a little easier. And so what I want to talk about today is safety and happiness. And they're not always the same thing. And so some of my research in interpersonal neurobiology, I love to kind of geek out on these things, talked about that safety is actually a bigger priority in our biology, in our brain, than happiness. And I got this from the work of Kristen Neff and Christopher Gerber. She was talking about that research. And so that really explains a lot of things that we see in the world that are quite confusing, like people continuing to smoke even though they know it's killing them. And so we get into what's the definition of safety and people's perception of what makes them safe. And so sometimes that can be numbness. Is at a certain point we were overwhelmed, under-resourced, didn't have the support we needed. So we decided numb was an avenue to safety and being able to keep functioning or make it through whatever we had to make it through. And that's great short term. Denial is great short term. The problem is when it gets to be long-term. The problem when it gets to be chronic or a way of life. And so coming back home to ourselves, unnumbing, feeling what needs to be felt, feeling the anger or the sadness that's behind the anger, and then eventually getting to the stillness that's behind the sadness. And when we get to those places, whether through meditation, whether working through a practitioner that's helping us with embodiment, whether that's being out in nature, being in safe, good relationships, playing with children, whatever brings us home to ourselves, that's when we can do the beauty, the important work of unnumbing, coming home to ourselves, home to our body sensation, home to our breath, home to the fullness of our humanity, so that we don't have to do these confused strategies to stay in perceived safety. And so again, I'm going to repeat what I said because it's a very strong thing, is that we're biologically hardwired to go for safety over happiness. And so I want to talk a little bit more about well, great, Robin, how do we do this? And so here's just a couple more resources. This is Deb Dana's work. She makes polyvagal work very accessible, very readable. And so here's 50 exercises you can do. And again, dance, yoga, movement, kayaking, whatever helps you get, I'm present in my body. For myself, it's rock climbing, being with friends in nature, laughing. And then this brings us to another question that people often talk to me about in my individual sessions or group sessions, is what am I here for? What's my purpose? Why did I go through this suffering? Why did I go through this struggle if I'm not feeling happy? And so here's another fabulous woman. I love her work, Tara Trent. And she has a great question in her work that's about go where your passion is. Go with even what's upsetting to you in the world. And maybe there's something there for you around meaning and purpose. And so for myself, with my history, I've struggled with belonging, sense of place. And so that's what I teach, because I've worked so hard to know what that means, to know what is meaningful belonging, what is safety in the nervous system, how do we come home to ourselves. And so I use my abilities as an empath and an intuitive that got broken open during my near-death experiences to help other people. One of my teachers, Lisa Nichols, talks about we're passionate about what we've struggled to earn, the knowledge, the earned connection, the earned attachment, the earned wisdom. And our desire is to give that to other people so that maybe our map, our journey can become helpful in their mapping, their journey. Because I think deep down inside, we love to help each other out. We love to have that connection. We're mammals, we're pack animals. And so we want to see each other actually do well. And that, again, the research shows that giving compassion, giving resources, giving help, enlivens our body, our being, our brain, more than being competitive, more than winning. And And the boost we get, the serotonin, the oxytocin, the dopamine that we get from giving is actually stronger than getting. So again, just to summarize, being able to update our ways of keeping safe to be something that's in alignment with our integrity and with our ethics, so that we don't have people in the world who are perceiving that being racist or superior is actually how to be safe, because that's actually a formula for being lonely and being not connected. And updating our safety to be embodied, to be at home with ourselves, to be attentive and care for ourselves, so then we're more present to care for others. Because again, in Kristen Neff's work, she talks about when we're in a spiral of criticizing ourselves, which we think is going to motivate us, it actually decreases our motivation and actually makes our world and our perception smaller. When we're criticizing ourselves, we're setting off our amygdala, which is the fear receptor in the brain, because someone is criticizing us, someone is yelling at us. Even if it's us, it still sets off the fear and the stress response in our body. So again, embodiment, self-compassion, coming home to ourselves keeps us safer because there's not somebody on the inside yelling at us. So how do we do these things? Again, there's a huge answer. There's so many ways to go about it. There's so many beautiful programs, providers, practitioners, so many ways to get to coming home. And so if I can be of help to you on that through my being an empath and being intuitive, I'm glad to serve that way. And again, just keep doing what works for you, what makes you feel safer, because safety is the root to feeling happy. Thank you. Rolevua, as they say in Venda in Zimbabwe.